everybody, so in this video we're going to talk about the half angle formulas, which you can see on screen right now. Okay, again, the most important part of the half angle formulas is knowing that you can't just pull this 1/2 out in the front, and that there is a specific formula that deals with half angles. Okay, the other thing to keep note is, we'll talk about this in our example, but these plus or minus symbols in the sine and cosine half angle don't mean that there's two answers. It means that you have to manually decide whether your angle should be giving a positive answer or a negative answer. So like I said, we'll talk about that more in our example, but that is something to keep in mind. So let's go ahead and look at an example of this. So okay, so this is very similar to the example you saw in the sum and difference formula video, where we're giving an exact value for something that we know is not a special angle, right? None of the special angles are over 8. Our choices are even multiples of pi, like pi and 5 pi, or multiples like 2 pi and 8 pi, right? Or things that are over 2, over 6, or over 3 or 4. So when we see over 8, we know that this isn't a special angle, right? We do still have the choice to use a sum or difference, but in this example, I want to try using a half angle, okay? So I want to write 3 pi over 8 as 1/2 of another angle, okay? So if I imagine what needs to go here, right, remember when you multiply fractions that you're going to be multiplying straight across. So if I want this to be 3 pi over 8, this needs to be 3 pi, and this is going to have to be 4, okay? So 3 pi over 8 is 1/2 of 3 pi over 4, right? To look more like the formula, we might write it like this, okay? So if we look at our formula for the half angle formula, right, we can see that in this example, our alpha is going to be 3 pi over 4, okay? So let's go ahead and look at that. So sine of 3 pi over 8 is the same as sine of 3 pi over 4 over 2, okay? So again, this means when we use our formula, our alpha is going to be 3 pi over 4, okay? So let's look back at our formula. So again, our alpha is 3 pi over 4, so we're going to have 1 minus cosine of 3 pi over 4 over 2, okay? So 1 minus cosine of 3 pi over 4, whole thing over 2, okay? And this square root does extend to the whole thing, okay? That made it look a little bit messy. We'll just extend it like that. Okay, so we're going to evaluate cosine of 3 pi over 4, so we're just going to draw 3 pi over 4 in standard position, right? It goes here. And my reference angle is going to be pi over 4. So this is going to be 1. This side is also 1, but because it's to the left, I'm going to have a minus. And this hypotenuse is going to be root 2. So when I look at the value of cosine here, cosine is going to be my adjacent side, which is -1, over my hypotenuse, which is root 2. Okay, so this is going to give me the square root of 1 plus 1 over root 2 over 2. Okay, and we're just going to use the tactic that we used recently in class, talking about clearing away these compound fractions, and we're going to multiply the numerator and the denominator by root 2. Okay, so this is going to give me root 2 plus 1 over 2 root 2. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and leave it in this form. There is certainly more that you could do to simplify this, but I'm going to leave it here. The last thing that we need to do is decide, okay, about the plus or minus. Okay, so we got to think of our original question. We have sine of 3 pi over 8. So I need to know what quadrant is 3 pi over 8 in. Okay, so if we imagine these quadrants over 8, right, this is going to be pi over 2 or 4 pi over 8. Okay, so that means right away I can see that this is going to be in the first quadrant here. Okay, so if I look in the first quadrant, my sine, which is opposite over hypotenuse, is going to be positive because the opposite side is positive. So that lets me know that I want to choose the positive form of this. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and put in my plus here. Okay, so like I said at the very beginning, you need to decide yourself whether you're choosing the positive or the negative, and we choose that using the quadrants, right? So 3 pi over 8 is in the first quadrant, where all of the trig functions are positive, including sine. So we're going to give this a positive value. Okay, we'll talk about that more in class, and I will see you guys then.